also got my granddad's Wang 286.
Come and see Rob's granddad's Wang at the Derby Computer Museum. I'm pleased to announce the RMC Retro 2023 charity calendar is now available at rmcretro.store. As with every year, 100% of the sale goes to our good cause, which this year is the Long Table, a group local to the Cave tackling food, poverty and equality, and every penny of every sale will go to them. The topic this year is control freaks. You guys have sent in some amazing images of joysticks and controllers, and if you fancy hanging this on your wall, head over to our website. The link to buy it and the link to the Long Table are in the description. And thank you, as always, for coming together to use our community to do something amazing for a good cause. Hello Cave Dwellers, we are on a retro road trip today. I'm joined by Rob. Rob, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
And we are at the Derby Computer Museum. That's the correct name for it, isn't it? Derby Computer Museum in the Midlands. We're about in the middle of the country.
In the East Midlands, yeah.
Yeah. And this is a brand new computer museum. And not only that, it's the first I've visited since we set up our own at the Cave and opened that up to the public. So I feel like I'm coming with a little bit more experience than I have at previous computer museums. And well, I'll see if I recognise some of the battle scars that Rob has obtained along the way of opening this place. Now, you've only just opened this, haven't you?
Yes, a week ago.
A week ago? Tell us about the opening. How did that go?
Really well, actually. We sold out. It was, it was kind of, if you build it, they will come kind of mentality. And fortunately, they did. So we sold out. We weren't quite sure what the capacity would be. We had a launch party about 3 weeks ago as a thank you to everybody who donated items, volunteered, sponsored us. A lot of drinks were involved. And we had about 80 people there. But of course, not everybody was in play mode. A lot of people were just in drink and have a chat mode.
Sure.
So I wasn't quite sure what the capacity would be. But yeah, we had 50 people pre-book, maybe 20 off the street. And all the planning and preparation actually paid off. Thank goodness. So yes.
Well done. As we're talking today, you'll see lots of footage of us walking around the museum. Some of it comes from our good friend Controller Reese, who was here last week on a public day.
Really nice guy.
It's closed today, so Reese has got a bit more dynamic footage of people actually enjoying the space, so we'll cut that in and out as we're talking. Why did you decide to do this?
A moment of stupidity, I guess. I think, like a lot of people and probably a lot of your viewers, you collect these things, don't you? I remember when I was a kid, there were certain things I always wanted to own, and there was never a chance I'd ever be able to afford them, such as the Toshiba Libretto that's in the cabinet over there, little VHS-sized computer, amazing little thing. And I remember looking at things like that in PC World in awe, thinking, I'd love to own that, but I'm 12 and I can't afford it. Towards the end of lockdown, I came into Derby City Centre with my wife and my 3-year-old daughter, and I noticed there wasn't really a lot for families to do in Derby. I've been here 13 years now. My family history's from Derby, so I'm quite fond of the place. And I thought, wow, this place has really gone downhill. It was like a lot of city centre, it was going downhill pre-COVID, and then COVID had kind of been that nail in the coffin, as it were. Anyway, later that evening, I was sat on the toilet, as you do, all the best ideas were in the shower or the toilet. And I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I'm in a bunch of like vintage and retro computing groups on Facebook. And I saw a picture of somebody, they'd made this retro room in their house, and it's just a spare bedroom just full of all their retro stuff. And I thought, and that's some really cool stuff. I thought, that's a real shame. No one gets to see all that cool stuff that you've got. And I came off the toilet. I did wash my hands, don't worry. And I said to my wife, I said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to open a computer museum. And I can't say exactly the words that she used because they're probably not friendly. Yeah, she was like, for goodness sake, another one of your ideas, because she knows if I come up with a stupid idea, of just tunnel vision and
Sure.
go with it. And that was 18 months ago. And yeah, it's taken a year and a half, a lot of work, and here we are.
We'd like to thank PCBWay.com for supporting our episode today. They aren't just about PCBs, although they do a tremendous job of that. They also offer CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, 3D printing and injection moulding. If you're creating, then PCBWay.com can help you bring your project to life. Get an instant quote now over at PCBWay.com, and we thank them for their support. Let's talk about the space. I've got loads more questions for you, but just talk us through the space so we can go through each room here and show people what's on offer. So where should we start? Down on the second floor?
Second floor, is that right?
Yeah, talk us through.
Do you know, it's a really weird space because there's loads of little rooms, but it's actually worked out quite well because having the strange little rooms has forced me to theme them.
As per your inspiration, that themed room that you saw, so you can theme each individual room.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's the first room we've got?
So the first
here?
room you see is the 70s and early 80s microcomputers. So we've got BBC Micro, BBC Master, Acorn Archimedes, the Dragon 32, which I didn't realise until somebody pointed out was Welsh, even though it's blindingly obvious because it's Dragon.
You got some Sinclairs in there, some
Spectrums, some Amstrads, Commodore 64. We've got a history of media cabinet as well, so from the 8-inch floppy disk through to CDs, Betamax, DAT tapes, things like that.
And there were a few local companies that you've connected with who have supplied, local gaming companies who have supplied some of these exhibits.
Yeah, so Derby's got a really rich computer gaming heritage, so much so I didn't actually quite realise until I started doing this project. Core Design was the one that I knew of because of Tomb Raider. Our inner ring road is actually called Lara Croft Way.
Wow.
So obviously the people of Derby are clearly quite proud of it. And there's, like you get those Hollywood stars. There's a Hollywood star for Lara Croft in the centre of town as well.
So you got Core Design, so famous for for Tomb Raider, for Rick Dangerous. And also the designer of Rick Dangerous is from this area?
From this area, yep. So he's been really helpful, been providing us with copies of artwork and whatnot from the 80s, like original concept sketches which are on the wall. Simon Phipps, his name is, really nice chap. We've got Eurocom, used to be based in Derby as well, and they've kind of then evolved and been assimilated by Miniclip, as it were, and they've just recently moved building and they donated us a whole bunch of really cool things, a bunch of Wii Dev kits.
So that's your first room. The what did you call it again? The 80s?
70s - early 80s. Yeah, it's probably the naffest name out of them all. The other ones are a lot more obvious.
Okay. But it's not. It's hands-on, isn't it? People can go in there.
Hands-on.
People can play on them. You have got some SD cards, but you're really encouraging people to take the tapes out of the drawers
to kind of relive the
whole experience.
Yeah, it's why also I've been really insistent on not having any flat screens. I think we've got one, just because we ran out of room. We've CRT'd everything to kind of really give that experience.
Nothing wrong with flat screens, but I think if you're buying a ticket for an experience, you want to keep it as authentic as you can. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And in fact, one of the things that you ask for specifically on your website, and probably anyone who comes through the door, is, have you got any 14-inch tellies?
Have you got any 14-inch tellies? Yes.
So here's the appeal. If you're near Derby and you've got any 14-inch CRTs, this man needs them.
Who would have ever thought that 14-inch CRT TVs would be a commodity?
Yeah. And do you remember, we always used to strive for bigger and flatter TVs.
Yes,
and now
and that's the opposite.
Give us the smallest, curviest TV you've got. So that's our first room, and then we come into the AstroTurfed room next.
The AstroTurfed room. I like my AstroTurf. It's not for everybody. But it was cheap and the existing carpet was terrible. So we've got the Japanese room, so the obvious. So we've got the consoles. We've got Master System, Mega Drive, Saturn, Dreamcast. Where possible, we've tried to use the Japanese versions of things if we could. Sure. Famicom, NES, SNES, N64, PlayStation. We've got a couple of Game Boys chained up so no one can nick them. I've got a Game Gear somewhere in storage which I still can't find, but once I found it,
you have the Game Gear out.
So you'll have that as well.
I think when we were in there, I saw you had the white Saturn. Is that the Japanese version of it?
Do you know? I don't know. So we had a black Saturn donated but like a lot of things, a cap has gone.
Yeah.
So the white satin is actually on loan from one of our volunteers, Ben, at the moment. So I don't know. He
Sure.
just brought it in on Saturday when I was tired.
There you go. Okay. So Japanese, very much hands-on gaming console room. I imagine that's quite a popular room.
Yes.
Especially with the younger ones, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. But do you know, it's really interesting though, because we did a photo shoot about a month ago in the PC room. They were playing Solitaire on Windows 3.1 or opening up Paintbrush and drawing pictures. So they were not necessarily going for the things that you'd think they'd be drawn to, but yeah.
And you mentioned just then that one of your Saturns was out of action, a cap or something had gone on it. So how are you finding the maintenance and the servicing of these machines, or are you still learning? Because it's such a new thing. I guess they were all working.
Yep.
Are they still all working?
Most of it. I mean, I'm trying to operate on the concept of when things break, not if. It's definitely when, not if. So having a plan B really for everything, making sure that we've got another copy of everything where possible. Of course, some of the rarer things we just don't have a duplicate of it.
Yeah.
But where possible, it's a case of right, let's go and get the other version of it. We've got 6 PlayStation 1s spare. Because the lasers on those don't seem to last particularly long.
Yeah, sure.
About a day sometimes. But then we've got a few volunteers who have got quite a lot of electrical experience. 2 of them are retired, so they've got a decent-ish amount of time, and they take bits and bobs home with them. We've also got a little lab. We've got a bunch of repair equipment. So we'll either get done in there or our volunteers will take it home.
Excellent. So from the Japanese room, there's another room on the second floor. I'm just trying to remember from
British gaming history.
British gaming history. Talk us through this one.
So it wasn't something that I realised until I came to doing a lot of the research for the museum, because we are a museum. So I've tried to put a lot of history and a lot of information and display boards and write-ups everywhere. But I didn't realise just how rich the history of computer gaming is in this country. So it just seemed rude not to have a room dedicated to that. So it's got a massive Union Jack carpet in the middle, and we've got 13 different exhibits showcasing 13 different games
and they're
from
not,
the UK.
So it's UK games, but it's not necessarily UK hardware.
No.
It's games developed in the UK.
But
in the UK. In itself, the hardware was very broad in the UK. I mean, I'm generalising massively if I say, in the States it's NES and Atari VCS, because it was a lot more broad than that. But I think it was broader again in the UK and in Europe in terms of the adoption of microcomputers for gaming and not just consoles. And then the homegrown microcomputers like your Amstrads and your Sinclairs.
It must have been a nightmare being a game developer trying to get games to work with everything.
And all we strived for, all we wanted back then was compatibility. We were kind of going, this is so annoying. Why doesn't this game work on this system? And then when the IBM-PC compatibles did take off and become, the standard almost, we started pining for the old stuff. So we're never happy. Happy. So talk us through some of the UK specific games in this.
So we've got the obvious ones that are from Derby. So the most obvious again is Tomb Raider. We can't really not have that there. We've also got Rick Dangerous, which is another core design game. Jet Set Willy, Populous, Lemmings, Grand Theft Auto, Zool, Micro Machines, Worms, GoldenEye, Theme Hospital, Dungeon Keeper. I'm sure there's another one. I just can't remember what it is.
Wipeout down there
as well.
Yeah, on the PlayStation. I know that sometimes Mr. Mike Daly, designer of Lemmings, watches this channel. So,
oh right, okay. Hello.
Lemmings, it's probably the least popular one down. Nobody.
Nobody plays it. Yeah, that's why it's in the corner.
Yeah. So that's the British room, and I love it. You've got your Ataris. You've got something I've never seen, an Atari. What was it? A
4160 STE. Yes.
What is that?
Well, I thought as the head of the Atari ST fan club in the UK, you would know this.
No, this one's passed me by.
Because on your channel, you're always saying how much you love Atari STs. So that Atari is actually my Atari. So it was bought for me and my brother when we were kids. It was a 1040 STE. And Atari were going to release a 4 meg version, the 4160 STE, and did actually have the case badges made. But the actual machines were never sold because, of course, Atari didn't do so well at that time. And you can still buy the case badges as new old stock. So if you, in the STE, it's dead easy. It's just 30-pin sims. Take the 256Ks out, put some 1 meg in. It becomes a 4 meg Atari STE. and you can buy new old stock of the badges, take the old badge off, put the new badge on, and it's an official.
It's as official as it can get.
STE,
That's how it would have come in the shop. So there you go, 4160. First time I've heard of one of those. Can I get those badges on eBay? Or?
I think so, yeah. There's loads of people who seem to have got... I mean, I don't know how many of these badges are still genuinely new old stock and how many are claimed to be, but you can still get them.
And it's nice that you've got a bit of your own personal history, your original Atari ST here.
Yeah, so I've got my original Atari ST.
Any other hardware that was yours back in the day?
So that laptop over there, I bought it second hand off my mate's dad. It's a 386 with 2 mega RAM. As you can see, it's battered.
Is that the top compact?
It's the one, second one, just the one below. Yeah.
Okay.
Also got my granddad's Wang 286.
Come and see Rob's granddad's Wang at the Derby Computer Museum.
And actually, my grandparents is the reason I moved to Derby. So I'm from London originally. I've lived in Sweden, in the States, and some other places. Was desperate to leave, and my grandfather died, and my grandma had early onset dementia. And after the funeral, me and my brother were driving back down the M1, and I said to my brother, "Oh, who's going to look after grandma now? Grandpa's dead." And as a joke, I said, "I know what I'll do. I'll move to Derby." And by the time I got to the bottom of the M1, I was like, "You know what? I'm just going to do it." And that was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then next to the Atari, you've got an Amiga 500, which has a very special little gold plaque on there.
Yeah.
Now, this has got a really touching story behind this, hasn't it? Just tell us about it.
It does. So this machine was donated by the parents of a kid called Richard, who suffered from Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It's the most severe kind of muscular dystrophy you can get, and most people with it don't make it to their 20s. He was diagnosed age 5, wheelchair bound age 9, passed away age 17.
Wow, yeah.
His sister got in contact with me. Him and his sister were really close, and said, "Look, we've got all these computers. So we've got this Amiga, his Sega, and a whole bunch of stuff. It's been in the loft for 31 years. I went round to his mum's, and she invited me in, and just presented me with these 2 massive cardboard boxes. And told us that he was a really keen artist, especially because in the last year or so of his life, the condition had got so bad he couldn't talk. All he really had was his right hand, and he was very creative. And anyway, they said, "Oh, there is some art on this computer, but we've not seen it for 30 years, and we know we don't know how to get it off." Eventually, figured out it was all done on D-Paint. And then I eventually found the disc that it was all saved on, and so then I had to have a null modem cable made, because all the existing cables we tried would fit but wouldn't work. Then had to buy some special software. I can't remember, I think it's Amiga Explorer, I can't remember what it is, about 20 quid online. I had to buy some software to copy it off, and then I had to buy some other software to then convert from D-Paint through to BMP, JPEG, PNG, and then using an old laptop with a serial connection to do it, an old PC laptop to do it. And it turned out that this guy was really good. The fact that he was able to do this on D-Paint, it was pretty mind-blowing. To think that he was able to do it at age 17, and the only movement he had was in his right hand, was pretty mind-blowing. Anyway, so I sent the artwork to his parents. I had a little section made about his artwork put on the wall, and of course D-Paint was the program that the graphics for Lemmings were done in. Mm-hmm. So his machine is playing Lemmings in the British Room, and it talks about the other games graphics that were done in this to give a bit of context and a bit of history. And I also had a print made and had it framed with the original floppy disk for D-Paint, and the original floppy disk his stuff was saved on, and then had his parents come in and his family come in to present it to them. They've had no idea we'd done all of this. So it was a very emotional moment. Like the room fell silent. It was pretty special. The Derby Telegraph published a story, and it went a bit viral, actually. There's a well-known digital artist. I've actually got some of his T-shirts. Got in contact. His name's Jim, or Jim will paint it.
Jim will paint it, yes,
Jim
I'm
will
aware
paint
of him,
it.
yeah.
He's amazing. He does everything in Microsoft Paint. So I guess he's just like a modern-day Richard, but a grown-up version. And the stuff that he does is absolutely insane, and he does it all in Paint. It just blows your mind, and it's so creative. And I was a fan of this guy anyway, because I still got some of his T-shirts. So he got in contact, gave me a call, and he said, this is brilliant. He'd shared it on his Facebook and it had God knows how many thousands of likes and been shared and reshared and reshared and reshared. And anyway, he's doing a limited run of prints of some of Richard's artwork. He's basically picking his favourites. And I think he's also going to do something special for the museum as like a one-off Jim will paint it thing. Maybe incorporating one of Richard's pieces that hasn't been finished and finishing it off and adding some stuff to it.
Oh, amazing.
So hopefully that will be, I'm guessing he's pretty busy with Christmas coming up. I'm guessing he'll be getting that sorted out in the new year. And half the proceeds will be going to the Dutch and Chester charity and half will be going to Derby Computer Museum, which is also a charity.
Amazing. Excellent.
So,
Well, we'll look out for that when it happens. That'd be big news. So
yeah, that'd be amazing.
Brilliant. And a lovely story about Richard.
A nice way to honour him.
Yeah, his memories live on. Yeah, fantastic. It's rare to be able to keep hold of your own computing history because more often than not, you have to sell it to buy the next thing.
Yeah.
So, to fund the next thing. So it's lovely that you've got some of those pieces in here. It makes it all the more special. That's the last room down there. And then we work our way up the stairs. And I'm struggling to pick a favourite room, but this is up there. The PC room here. There's a really nice atmosphere to it. The lighting's lovely. You haven't just gone glass cabinets as much light as possible. You've created a nice atmosphere in there, which comes across well. Just talk us through what's in this room.
It's got every version of Windows from Windows 1 through to Windows 98. I think it's quite interesting. We are a museum after all, and I always try and say we're a museum, not an arcade. And whilst, of course, loads of things have got games, and I think almost every exhibit here has got games to play, I also want to showcase some of the history as well. Because computing history has evolved in such a short space of time. Normally you go to a museum, the things in there are from before your lifetime, whereas in a computer museum, they're within your lifetime. So we've got Windows 1, Windows 2.1, we've got a NetWare 4.2 network running about 24 DOS-based games, anything from Wolf 3D to Doom to, whatever.
Setting up NetWare servers is going to be a bit of a lost art. Was that yourself that set them up?
Yeah, I set them up. It's something that I just really wanted to do. My school had a NetWare network, and one of the ways I learnt about computing, I work in IT now, was through hacking the school network. Sorry. I think one of our box copies of NetWare was one that might have gone missing from that school at some point.
Say no more. And what's the backbone of your network? Are we talking? Is it TCP/IP and
so the
Cat5?
NetWare network is IPX.
IPX, yeah.
It's all Cat5, yeah. So because Derbyshire Building Society had this building, there's Cat5 running on all the walls. So we've got a comms cabinet on each floor. And it's just a case of patching it in, putting loads of switches in.
And you found all the network cards and drivers you needed to get.
That was the hardest bit. Definitely getting network cards that were network compatible, getting ones that were genuinely working. Getting everything working was a labour of love. And some of them you're paying like 30 quid a network card. It's pretty ridiculous.
Image those hard drives before they fall over.
Yes, well they're all compact flash, and we've imaged
got
a
them
lot.
imaged.
So,
okay.
We've got OS2, both OS2 Warp, which was version 3 when I believe IBM and Microsoft parted ways, and then we've got OS2 2 when it was still very much a Microsoft IBM co-project. We've got an Amstrad running GEM desktop, which was the desktop your favourite computer that OS2 ran.
Now, you can't have a IBM-PC compatibles room without someone going, have you got any Macs? So you've catered to that in the next room, haven't you? Talk us through that.
Yeah, so we've got the Apple room. So we've got the iconic iMac G3. We've actually got 4 of those, but we've got 2 on display. We've got the 1989 Apple Macintosh SE30, which I just love. I bought it as a one-owner machine from a lady who'd used it at Leicester Uni. Persuaded the IT department there to buy it because they were really expensive, really, really expensive. But she still had it complete with the carry case.
Oh, nice.
With the the little side pocket where you put the keyboard in. in mint condition, and it's so cute. I just want to cuddle it. It's just such a lovely little thing.
And of course, a huge part of Apple was their, or is their marketing approach. So
Yes.
You've got a lot on the walls there, haven't you?
So Google Images has been my best friend, and basically, Apple is really well known for its marketing. So I was looking for on Google Images for reproduction posters, and one of Apple's iconic bit of advertising was just a black and white picture of somebody influential from history, living or dead. And anyway, a bit of alcohol was involved, a laptop, and designing things at silly o'clock in the morning. And I just pulled up a picture of me and had that produced. So it's just a picture of me in the gym, looking at the camera, doing a selfie, and it just says "Think Different" in the corner. So exactly in the same style as the original poster. And it's quite big. And when it arrived from the printers, my wife was at work, so I did the only thing that I could think to do, which was to take the sign, put it upstairs next to the bed, so that when she came home from work after 12 hours being a nurse, that's what she had to see. And I think her reaction was something along the lines of, "There's one of you and that's all I need, thank you."
You're creating a music creation suite exhibition.
You did a video on the MSX, didn't you?
A long time ago, yeah, we did one on the MSX, back in the old cave. It was that exact model.
So interesting, the guy who donated it said, if you want to know anything about it, watch this video. And the video he sent me was the video.
You'll never learn anything about using it from that video. Just watch a man very badly trying to get some noises out of it. But it's nice to see that set there. But the sort of the showpiece is the Atari.
Yep.
You've got a huge MIDI keyboard. Is that a special MIDI keyboard? Oh, it's a Korg, so decent.
It is a decent one. It was actually donated by Miniclip. When they were moving building.
Are you familiar enough with this setup to demonstrate it, or are you looking for someone to help?
We've got a volunteer who I'm hoping will be able to do some of that for us, but we are definitely short of knowledge. So if anybody can help and they don't mind coming to Derby, that would be amazing, because we've got a picture of Fatboy Slim on the wall in his studio, and we'd like to replicate at least something basic like that. We also had the local musician, White Town, Your Woman, with the music video actually filmed outside. So, like a basic setup like that, so people could see how it would work and then can see how that compares to modern day technology. Yeah. That would be amazing. There you go.
Norman, if you're watching, give us a call. Come and show us how to use it. And that concludes our walk around, unless there are any rooms that I've missed here. I think that's everything in the museum. I say it's Rob's first week, and you're trying to drum up awareness, although you've had the local press involved quite a lot. You're getting the word out there. So I would encourage you all, if you're in the area, or even if you're not, plan a trip to Derby. What else can people do when they come to Derby? They'll obviously come here to see you. How can they make a full day of it?
Well, I don't know. We are at the foot of the Peak District, so we've got the Peak District for afterwards. So, the Bakewell tart? So we've got Bakewell, so you can go to Bakewell, get a Bakewell tart. There's Chatsworth, absolutely stunning. Lots of National Trust places and whatnot you can go see. Derby itself...
It's got a great computer museum.
It's got a good computer museum, and that's it.
And how do people come here? Do they pre-book? Do they just walk in?
So you can pre-book on our website, or they can walk in as long as we're not too busy.
Yeah, and you're open on Saturdays?
Saturdays 10 till 4.
Do you think that might change at any point? Or are you just sort of feeling it out and seeing how it goes?
I think I just want to make sure that we are good at doing one thing and doing one thing well at the moment. We plan to start doing school field trips. A big part of the museum is our link up with a special educational needs school a few doors down. So it's a sixth form for kids with learning disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, things like that. They've actually asset tagged every single thing in this museum, restored some of the chairs, done some of our displays for us. But they're going to be running some of the school field trips. So during the week, the space will probably be used for that. We might extend to Sundays as well for the public, but just want to make sure we're doing a good job at one thing until we get carried away.
And how are you doing for volunteers? Are you on the lookout for more?
Always on the lookout for volunteers. We've probably got about a dozen at the moment, but I'd like to double that if I can, just to make sure we can always fill the rota.
Right. So what's the best way for someone to get involved?
Just go to our website. Just click on the volunteer page. So yeah, there's a like a questionnaire to fill in and email us on there. www.derbycomputermuseum.co.uk.
There you go. I'll stick that in the description as well if anyone's interested. Well, congratulations on getting to this stage, because
Thank you.
It's
Thank you
no
so much
easy
for coming.
task. You know, having the idea is one thing, but actually executing it is a whole different kettle of fish, and you've done a superb job.
Thank
so
you.
well done. And I would encourage everyone to come and have a look at the Derby Computer Museum if you're able to do so. Thanks as always for watching, and take care everyone. Bye bye.
Cheers.